Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel here on John's Briefs. We're at C2 Tactical in Scottsdale. I want to say thank you to them for letting us use their conference room with defense attorney extraordinaire Tim Forshee. I want to say, you notice the difference, between the poor YouTuber wearing his Apple Watch and the...
That's simply because I have an allergy to all things tech, but yeah, okay.
Wearing the nice, oh dang man, wearing the Rolex, that's amazing. One day I'll have one of those, but...
yeah, a nice wife, she'll do it for you. That's what my wife did for me. So.
That's awesome,
yeah,
really?
Yeah, you bet.
That's amazing. Yeah. One of these days.
My 50th birthday. Finally time to get a grown-up watch.
Okay, so, Laura Marie, my wife, for my 50th birthday. Maybe I get a grown-up watch.
There you go.
Wow. So anyways, talking today, we had a recent badge cam. And, I've been in the comments a little bit, and some folks, just a few, that were like, my God, he's running away from them, and how in the world could they shoot him? So let's talk with the attorney about the justification of the use of deadly force in law enforcement. Firearms Legal Protection is who I trust to help me after a use of force incident. If you're a Firearms Legal Protection member, you can attend our monthly active self-protection training seminars for free. Check out all they offer to their members at the link below. So I watched this one. I think we talked about it in the analysis a little bit, that I'm like, to the couple people that have had a hard time, I was like, well, guys, the standard here is not new. Tennessee versus Garner is an old decision.
So almost 30 years now.
Yeah, 30 years. Yeah. And so this says, wait a minute, if an officer has objective evidence that the fleeing felon is a threat to themselves or an imminent threat to the community, right, then they can use deadly force to stop and apprehend that person. Correct. Because the use of force is in a seizure. We're talking Fourth Amendment issues right here. So the question, of course, becomes, can I articulate here that this man is an imminent threat to the community?
And that one I had a little bit of an issue with. I'm not 100% sure. And of course, at the end of the chase, the guy that bailed out that had the ride-along with him,
yep.
Did you notice, I think, his first 6 shots apparently all missed? I mean, he just started spraying and praying.
Yeah, it was a bad idea. Yeah, the marksmanship was problematic.
And it was in the dark, and what's beyond where he's shooting, he couldn't see his environment. At least I couldn't in the video. I mean, so that gave me some pause. But, I mean, did he really know? Had he already been advised on the radio calls that this guy had stabbed somebody with a screwdriver?
Yes.
Or stabbed somebody with what they probably then thought was a knife?
They thought it was a knife, and so...
So if he's been told this suspect, this guy, and I'm sure it's the same guy, stabbed somebody, then at that point I think he's justified in using lethal force.
There it is.
Because clearly the guy has stabbed someone, and if you don't use lethal force and he stabbed someone else, that's probably on your head.
Yep.
So I think that is justifiable, but did he stab someone, and did the cop believe that he had stabbed someone? And of course, it can be wrong. You can think that he stabbed somebody and it was fake ketchup instead of blood, whatever. You take your law school example as far as you want. But if the cop had a reasonable belief that this guy was a risk of death to the general public at large, then yeah, he's justified in using lethal force. Yes.
And it's a funny thing, because quite frankly, that standard is the same standard you or I have.
Right.
Because if I believe reasonably that man is a threat to someone else, an imminent deadly threat to another person,
right,
I can defend a third party just like they can defend themselves.
True, yeah.
And so guess what? If I just shoot a fleeing guy, well, that could be a problem. But if I go, hey man, he just stabbed somebody and there's 5 people over there and I was worried he was going to stab one of those, and so I shot him while he was running away from me, that's justifiable conduct.
If you think about the example that we're all familiar with, it would be, there's a mall shooting. Some crazy murderer, and let's not use my red flag term that I would hate people say, mass public shooting. I despise that term, but there's a mass murder going on in a mall, and this guy's, just saw him shoot 8 people, and now he's walking away from me. Can I use lethal force to stop that guy?
Unbelievably,
of course
yes.
I can. And it's the exact same analysis, right?
So the funny part is Tennessee versus Garner doesn't give police any special powers.
No.
It's just the application of that in their role.
It's interpreting that in the world of law enforcement, correct? Because that's where it becomes the Fourth Amendment. You and I can't violate the Fourth Amendment. Only the government can violate the Fourth Amendment.
Because the Fourth Amendment is about, searches and seizures, and we don't search and we don't seize, at least not legally. So that idea says, wait a minute, yes, he's not running at the officer in the beginning, but that's not what's important. Is the officer reasonably convinced that this guy is an imminent threat to the general public and to the people around him? This guy, again, on the radio, and the first call was a creepy dude with a knife acting weird in public. And you saw the officers in the beginning of that, the first couple, they showed up super chill.
Absolutely.
They're just like, hey man, you need some help? Necesito
I love
policia?
the term Mike used, they don't go in badge heavy.
Yeah, they went in super light.
That's a great term,
yeah.
They just went in there nice and calm. A good cop is a good psychologist.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, and then it was really funny if you were watching, they're like, all right, let's just go around the corner here, make sure he's not doing anything stupid. And then he does, and the cop goes,
Exactly. You guys both said how you can relate to that. I'm like, oh yeah, no kidding.
God dang
Just
it.
what I want to do on a Friday night. Yeah, right.
Well, but then, okay, they saw that go down. What looks like a knife fight happening. Now I got to chase the dude. I try to tase him. The taser's
And oh my
ineffective.
God, as I'm watching this video, was I reminded why I chose not to become a police officer. My God, it was like a cross country.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
You
like
got cross-country
forever.
meet.
Just chug. Oh my God, thank God I'm not a cop.
Yeah, and so, all right, the other guy that's got a ride along with him, okay, fine, bails out. Again, as long as, and I'm at this point, man with a knife, having been in an altercation, so we've got an aggravated assault suspect, running from the police. Is he gonna do that again in the community? Yeah, he's absolutely gonna do that again. I gotta stop this guy. Cop gets out, lights and sirens, big, the reds and blues are on. I get out in full uniform, hey, stop. Guy decides to keep running. All right, I got to stop this guy right now. Now, the marksmanship piece is a separate issue. As a firearms instructor, you're watching that going, oh, geez, oh, boy, oh, gosh, where are those bullets going?
I'm not just to critique him, but I'm worried, where are those bullets going? I'm worried about the ancillary damage. Yeah.
Right.
So.
And then, of course, when he turns towards the officer, absolutely. Nope, you're not turning my way, buddy, with a knife in your hand. Even a screwdriver. I don't care if it's a screwdriver versus a knife. You put me in the hospital with a screwdriver just as fast.
One other thing that I thought was interesting in this video was that you did mention that the gentleman did pass away.
Yeah, he died.
I say gentleman in a gracious way. Did you guys notice how when you watch the video, he didn't even really appear to be hit? There was not
you couldn't
much,
see anything on
There
him.
was not much impact, not much effect of those rounds hitting him. He kind of just sort of sat down, and then he's still moving around. And I'm wondering, did he hit the guy? I mean, and of course, I think I knew he did, but a lot of people, we all expect this dramatic Hollywood Hawaii 5-0 moment. The 9mm hits you in the chest, and you're instantly dead. And in real life, handguns are anemic as heck, and you sometimes don't even know you hit the person, which is why we see multiple shots, because you want to make sure the person's down. But this guy it was a fatal wound, and he looked like he was ready to sit down and start playing a hand of euchre to me. I mean, it didn't look like he was that affected by it. So that's something to be aware of in terms of real life as well, I think, that a lot of people are ignorant about.
I agree. So listen, for anybody who saw that one, again, Tennessee versus Garner is a very clear standard. It's 30 years old now. This is settled law. I think
it was 85, so yeah, it's getting close. Yeah.
So 40 years almost now.
Yeah, you're right. It was 40 years.
Almost 40 years. Yeah, well, I mean, the 90s was like, what, 9 years ago? Something like that?
9 years
right?
ago.
Yeah.
Last month.
Yeah, last month, something like that. Anyway, I'm getting old. All this gray in my beard, I've earned every bit of it.
It gets worse.
It gets worse before it gets worse.
Just
so you know. So, very settled law. The officer, I think, fell within Tennessee versus Garner pretty darn clearly here. Otherwise, I don't think he would have shot at him if he didn't feel like he had that. And it's really not a different standard than you or I. It's really not. So, Tim, appreciate the knowledge, man.
You bet. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.